Light exposure is the main signal that keeps our internal biological clock in sync with the 24-hour light-dark cycle to which we're exposed here on Earth. And so when we get exposure to electric light at a time that the brain is not expecting it because the sun is not out, then that sends a signal to the brain that that must be daytime. So that not only has a direct effect right at that moment, but it also resets the clock in the brain so that it's going to expect daytime at that same time the next day.
Poughkeepsie is not too bright a city, but a lot of my students are from New York City, and they tell me they've never seen the Milky Way, and I find that really sad. And so I show pictures, and they say, wow, this is amazing, and I think, you've never seen this? I was in South Africa a couple of weeks ago, and in Johannesburg, and the city is very bright. And I was on a radio show, and a call-in listener said, I think my daughter might like astrophysics, but she's never really seen the stars. And of course you can study astrophysics without seeing the stars, but I don't imagine it could be the same experience. And I think you don't appreciate this greater universe if you can't have some sense of seeing it.
Well, you would think that once you leave your house and travel to a national park that you've left the city behind, you've left your porch light behind. And in actuality, you probably haven't. Light can travel hundreds of miles to a park from a city. So in national parks, we're starting to see a lot of parks that you would think as remote national parks have artificial light in the sky. They'll have sky glow, which is the brightening of the night sky. You may go to a viewpoint at night, and instead of seeing a natural scene, you'll see all the points of glare from distant streetlights near and far. In the National Park Service, we think that the natural lightscape should be preserved along with the animals and the geologic wonders that we have. And so the National Park Service has a night skies team to address this issue, a small group of scientists who work on cataloging night sky quality, measuring the amount of artificial light in the sky above parks, and working with communities to prevent it.
There's no question that the night sky played a role in the development of ancient religions. The Babylonians associated their deities with celestial objects like the planets. One thing that's really interesting is that the Babylonians also thought that the gods communicated with them through the medium of the heavens. So they saw it was sort of like a message board. And then the Babylonians interpreted these messages. Even in a very, a very omnipresent one, like say Christianity, you find things like there are stars in the sky when Jesus is born, right? The three wise men come from Persia, and in ancient Persia, astrology and the stars played a role in their religion. So therefore, a very central Christian text, like the Gospels, reference the significance of the heavens.
Most people switch on the electric light thinking that they just want to be able to see other things or to read, and they don't really view light as a drug. And yet it has a profound biological effect on the body. The light to which the electric light to which we're exposed between dusk and the time we go to bed at night shifts all of our circadian rhythms to a later hour by 4 to 5 hours later, making it much more difficult to go to sleep earlier in the evening. And when we can't fall asleep early in the evening and we still have to get up early in the morning to get to work, that's going to shorten the amount of time that we have available for sleep and going to increase the burden of sleep deficiency on us. And that has all sorts of negative health effects, as well as impairing our performance the next day. Increases the risk of accidents. 2 million people a week in the United States nod off or fall asleep at the wheel while they're driving. That's how exhausted we are as a society. And the availability of electric light is one of the principal reasons why we're so exhausted.
I appreciate it more when I can see the sky again. And a lot of times the day-to-day drudgery can be dragging. And it only takes one clear night to go out and look up again and think, this is what it's all about. And so, yes, I think day-to-day business is a lot more meaningful if you've got just a bigger perspective. My greatest thrill 30 years ago, when people still rode in the prime focus cages of the telescopes, was there you were at the top of the 200-inch, which at the time was the biggest telescope in the world, in the late 70s, and there's a universe above you, and that's it. And it really makes whatever problems you have on Earth seem really small.
Some people, the night sky is scary. It reminds them of how small they are, how big the universe is, and it's a humbling perspective for them. Others are inspired almost in a religious way of the beauty of nature and how special they are. Some people like the sense of solitude that a natural night can provide. Everyone's coming at it and getting something different out of it. It's not up to the National Park Service to say why it's important, but we maintain that for this and future generations so that people can have access to it and they can take from it what they want to.